Good Friday afternoon, everybody. I'm Mark Dyer. Welcome back to my studio. Glad y'all could be here today, and hope you're enjoying these videos. They're interesting for me to be able to make, being able to reach out to people. So, a little bit about myself. I am a creative artist. While oil painting is my first love, I work in a variety of mediums, and I've said that probably a number of times. I sculpt and work in ceramics and printmaking, and so today I want to talk about my bas relief, which I haven't done much. I usually on Facebook focus on my paintings, and so today I want to talk about the bas relief and kind of the process I go through. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in a little town in Michigan, outside of Battle Creek. If anybody buys Kellogg cereal, that's where Kellogg cereal comes from, is Battle Creek. I was raised about 10 miles east of there, in a quaint little town called Marshall. I went to Olivet College, which was probably about 25 miles north. A small, private, very expensive college, but man, they had the greatest art department there, which really served me well. I ended up being a teacher's assistant for the head of the department, and so I really began to thrive there, and I'm always appreciative of that. Then I went on to Western Michigan to work on my graduate work, which I did for a couple of years. I also worked at the university for their graduate publications department while I attended graduate school. So that's kind of a little bit about my background. I've always been an artist, probably always will be an artist. It's in my DNA. No matter how hard I try to find a different path and a different career, making a living as an artist is tough. I always end up being an artist. So as I said, I work in a variety of mediums. So part of what I do is most all of my work has a couple common themes. One is a really strong vertical, something I did as a young child all the way up through undergrad, graduate work. I always have these really strong verticals, and it kind of comes from my obsession with trees. So if you see some of these pieces here that I have, the trees, these are actually ceramic. These are bas relief, low-level bas relief carved. What will happen is this will actually go into the kiln and be fired, and then come out like this. This has just a white terra sigillata on it. But the common thread with all these things are the distance at which you view my work. Most of my work is meant to be viewed from at least across the room, 25 feet away. Sometimes further and further away you get, the better I like it. When I paint all the way across my house here, and I look through the studio. So that's kind of, I paint and sculpt real loosely. This bas relief here was inspired by a little courtyard in downtown Maysville that was built by Mr. Carlson, who's very influential in the community. He had workers come from France. This was some of the stone, I do believe, was brought from France, this whole little courtyard. Beautiful place, kind of fulfills my lifelong dream of wanting to live in France. So I can kind of sneak down there and hide away for a few minutes and regain my solitude, so to speak. So again, it's about being kind of real loose with the things that I do. So as an artist, it's really difficult. This is in the process. This is actually at the point where I'm done sculpting it, but it needs to be cast in bronze. And so when you're a struggling artist, you don't always have the financial ability to have those things sitting around your studio. And so I'm always waiting for the next person to come along that might want to purchase this and can see the vision of my piece in bronze and would want to pre-order that. So it's always a cycle of trying to stay ahead of the bill collectors. So again, real strong verticals, relating back to the trees, relating back to my paintings. If you look at my paintings, I always have a really strong vertical somewhere in that painting. So all of these things really kind of coalesce into a common theme for me, or at least my personality in the studio and in my work. And while there might be worlds apart in other areas, there's always those two factors, that real strong vertical and the vantage point at which you view my work, which is different stages away from it. It's not really meant to be viewed right close up. It can be, but it changes the whole perspective of what I'm trying to do. So again, so here are some of these little small bas reliefs, getting ready to be cast, but again relating back to my paintings and kind of that abstract sense of what I do. So that's kind of where I'm at in the studio right now. If I'm not posting pictures of my paintings, I'm still working on other things in the background. I don't always post pictures of those. I have a gallery up front, and I've always kind of had my own gallery. And prior to having a gallery, I would host events a couple times a year where it was private invitation only for people to come in and see my latest works. So I've always been actively involved in creating. It's just part of who I am. So anyway, I think I've covered all my bases for today. Hope you all have a great weekend. It's the holiday season. Buy art as gifts by local artists. We all need the support. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Friday. Thank you.